What's going on, guys? Sam Richards, Isolation Movement. Today we're going to be covering a topic that's been plaguing the fitness industry for the last 4 or 5 years now. That's right, we're covering Natty or Not. And to be honest, I'd rather not. So I'm not going to waste any time getting into this video because, let's face it, the YouTube fitness community has already wasted far too much of our time on this topic. But I'm going to be looking into who exactly started this craze. Now, looking back into the archives, you can see people like Vegan Gains back when he had a following. Is he still a thing? I don't know. You can tell me in the comments below if he's still even bothering to make videos. Vegan Gains, Kenny KO, back when he had any form of sort of respect in the community. They all made videos ranging from Zac Efron to Mike O'Hearn to Simeon Panda. And at the time, this was really relevant and everyone lapped it up, including myself. You know, the first time that these appeared back in, 2017 now? It was a time where lots of people on Instagram, on YouTube, who were major influencers, and at the time they were being mainstream influencers, not just in the fitness community. They were claiming natural, and these kind of things were in their bios. They were preached about on every post about how you don't need to use anabolics to gain a certain level of physique. And of course, you know, looking back now, we were all pretty dumb for even thinking about buying into it. But these YouTubers first paved the way to start to break down the fake natural issue and the sort of phenomenon that happened around that time. The reason for these people claiming natural is usually because of contracts or just simply to gain clout. People like Simeon Panda, Ulysses didn't really have those issues. I think that it was really just to try and get an edge on everyone and try and claim some form of superiority, which, of course, you know, we don't advocate for. You know, we now know that that is one of the most irresponsible things you can do, is to give people a certain idea of what they can achieve, which is far, far, far above what they could achieve even with strong genetics. And this leads to people often having lots of issues with self-esteem and not being confident in themselves, when realistically they're making the level of progress we would all actually expect now that we know more about anabolics. And that generally was the reason why these types of videos started. Because at the time, about 5 years ago, people started making videos about anabolics and raising the awareness of their use and their prevalence within the world. Now, admittedly, we were sort of at the heart of the reason why these influencers got away with this stuff. We perpetuated it, we liked, we shared, you know, we followed these guys through thick and thin because, let's face it, at the heart of it, they had great physiques, and they still do. You know, it's not taking anything away from them to say that they used anabolics to achieve that. It's a supernatural form of physique. We wouldn't expect anything less, but the problem was the outright claims of natural, and I think that this all boils down to two forms of camps. One of which being the people who are using it for clout, Simeon Panda, Mike O'Hearn, Brad Castleberry, infamously lately. Did you see that interview? Yeah, so did I. Waste of my time. The other form was the Gymshark athlete. Pretty much every Gymshark athlete ever. And this all boils down to contract issues. They likely, I mean, they're a mainstream brand. They must have clauses in there that you can't talk about anabolics use, drug use, anything that you're doing, probably to cover them, maybe going on Instagram stories and then posting stories of them sniffing cocaine or them having issues with liability for the health of their athletes. So, you know, this all makes sense. The reason is fully there and we can't criticize them for that. The problem is when you outright then go and say, the way I'm going to combat this is not just avoiding the topic, it's just lying. Blatantly lying to the public. And a lot of them, unfortunately, bought in. Now, it was my thought, my feeling that this craze had ended. We'd finally vanquished the fake natural. Nobody was claiming it anymore. If they did, it was nuanced. They could very well have been natural, or people just didn't believe them. When did the fun end then? Well, the fun really ended when a great guy, a great content creator called Philion entered the YouTube community, and overnight he blew up, you know, much like Greg did, much like a few others have done. He suddenly got a lot of fame for his no bullshit videos, takedowns, brutal takedowns, and just laughable videos where he'd just rip into these rich kids who enter the fitness world and pretend like they're self-made millionaires. If you're like me, very nostalgic about those videos, and they're only probably about a year ago now. But Philion did something really strange about 6 months to 9 months ago. he left the fitness YouTube community. Why? Well, if you look, he seemed to have lost the love of lifting, and most of his stuff was still just fitness related, but it didn't really look like he was aiming to make any form of progression with himself. It seemed like he'd fallen out of love with it, and that's fully understandable. I think that amount of videos with that amount of negativity must eventually get to you. And he'd, let's face it, completed the mission. Most people were either admitting now, or they had addressed it, or they'd stopped claiming natural, or we just all knew differently. So when he exited the YouTube community, the fun died. It just did. And for about 3 to 6 months, no real Natty or Not videos were made. Kenny Ko at this point was a distant memory of his respectability, and Vegan Gains, well, he'd been taken down a long time ago anyway, as pretty much full of bullshit. So we had a lot of creators who had exited this space, and there was nothing being made on this anymore. The people like Simeon Panda, Mike O'Hearn, they'll always claim it, some of them comedically, but in my eyes, we were done. Fast forward to 2020. What do we see? None other than Greg Doucette and More Plates, More Dates making Natty or Not videos, or speculating about steroid cycles. Now, I don't mind the speculation. That's a bit of fun. Nobody knows what they're on, and, you know, he admits that. But when it comes to the issue of resurging the Natty or Not issues, what do we see? We see the names that have already been covered extensively. People like David Lade. You know, these athletes who we've already covered. We know that they're probably not natural, but who the fuck cares anyway? They're pretty irrelevant unless you're a Gymshark avid fan. So why do these videos resurge in 2019-2020? Well, it's simply a lack of creativity. Unfortunately, there gets a point in everyone's career or in their video production where they realise algorithms, we've got to get a video out there every single day of the week or every other day of the week, and especially right now when we're all in lockdown, people are lapping up content. You know, they've now finally got a big subscriber base, and a lot of them are sort of half-educated SARMs users who believe all this mythology about steroids and sort of have certain preconceptions which might not necessarily be true. So what do you do when you run out of creativity? You recycle the things that have done before, and the things that clearly went viral, and you test them out. Oh, it's still doing well. People still want to see this, and oh, I'm shouting, I'm doing it in different ways. So this is different content, but recycling the same stuff and doing it slightly differently is not being creative. I have nothing wrong with taking a trending topic and monopolizing it, but you're literally taking a dead topic and bringing it back up from the ashes. It's like going back and doing Hodge Twins style content. We're over it. We're just done. So this whole lack of creativity leading to utter dribble of content just needs to stop. We need to demand more. People like Greg went from making some of the highest quality content on YouTube, and I was a massive fan. One of those that from sort of a low subscriber number would comment on everything, really engage and love what he was saying, and even direct people to it. But now, the love's lost. I just couldn't point anyone his way because although he still makes some good content, there's that clickbait aspect which has fed its way in, and maybe it's his touch base with Brandon Harding and his experience there who maybe taught him, you know, the clickbait king, how to do this and draw people in with content which really doesn't live up to the mark. Now, the reason I want this to end, it's not simply because I don't like these creators. I've explained I love Greg. I think he's a brilliant creator. He's unique. He's got one of those voices where you just want to hear more, and even if you don't necessarily agree with what he's saying, it's entertaining to hear him say it. So, you know, much love to most of the creators I've named here. You know, Philion, Greg, More Plates, More Dates, actually one of my favourite YouTubers, although sometimes, please dumb it down a bit. But, you know, all these guys are brilliant. What is the problem with the content then? Well, I've already explained that we're in a community which loves to perpetuate hate. We like to find a reason why somebody else isn't that much better than us. But the truth of the matter is they are. You need to accept that, natural or not, that person has built a better physique than you. There's no guarantee that if you use the same cycle, and Greg mentions this, everyone mentions this, if you use the same cycle, you're not going to get the same results. If you're going to do Ronnie Coleman's steroid cycle, you're going to look nothing like him. But people believe that suddenly finding out somebody's not natural is like a golden bullet, and suddenly they don't have a right to post about these things. But Training is the same, work ethic is the same, diet is the same, and discipline is the same. We are all the same in here. And if you don't put the work in, you don't get the right result. Sure, steroids enable you to go up a whole nother level and the sky is the limit with your progress, how far you could take it. But does it mean that you're definitely going to be better than anyone else? No. You could see natural athletes thrashing enhanced athletes on stage, and Greg did this at one point in his life. So the whole idea that Natty not, it makes a difference is bullshit. Of course I'm going to say that, I'm not natural myself, but even when I was natural, this whole thing didn't really matter to me. It was more of an entertainment value and curiosity, but now it's just become about hatred, and most of the fake naturals out there just are gone or normalised, or they've admitted it, or, Callum von Moger, who, to be honest, he's turned into Karen von Moger with his bloody anti-vaxxing stuff. Please get off Instagram. You lift and you're not even a competitive bodybuilder anymore. You keep saying you will be, but why don't you prove it? These people are perpetuating these ideas and they're putting it onto the athletes to suddenly do something about it. Well, people are stepping up. Even Callum, before this whole shit, he stepped up. Lots of other people have stepped up and said, okay, look, here's the deal. Yes, I'm not going to go into detail. I don't think it's worth it, and that's fine. That's your prerogative. Just don't say anything at all on it. Or be like Mike O'Hearn, who's clearly trolling us all, and Brad Castlebury, who, no, I just think he's natural. 100% natural. But, this is the problem. It's all negative. It's always negative, and the onus is on somebody else to do something about it. Or why don't you find a positive spin on content to create, which is going to get us through these hard times? Because right now, posting shit, slating people, and putting everyone else down is not what we need. The online community is already toxic enough, especially in fitness. I think it's probably one of the worst communities out there, so we don't need the added fuel. Can we find a way to revert back to the days when we had forums and the lack of social media and everyone just simply helped each other up? Because nowadays there's more competitors, it's more mainstream, more people want to be on that stage. Just look at the men's physique amateur Olympia with 500 fucking guys in board shorts thinking they're all going to win it, and to be honest, I couldn't distinguish a difference between half of them, except for Zach Ainsley. I quite like him. But this is an industry whereby so many people are trying to make it. Hardly anyone will succeed, and we need to give the leg up to the people who might, and we need to stop hating and try and support. It's the only way we're going to get through this coronavirus crap. You might think lockdown's going to end in however long. It ain't, so just accept that. Move forward, find some positivity, keep your mental health in check, keep your mentality up and on the positive. Everyone that I've mentioned in this video, find some positive stuff to post. You did it once, you created some of the best value content out there, which I couldn't hope to match. I'm an anecdotal channel. I'm not one of these factual channels who gives you X, Y, Z. Here's the clinical study. So we still need that. There's still a place for that, and your old videos are still the things that bring people into your channel. Don't get money hungry and think you need to do stuff which is monetizable all the time. Maybe you can do a couple of monetizable videos per week and just make 40, 50, 60 grand from YouTube and the rest from your sponsorship. And then maybe do some stuff which we actually care about. That's about it from me, guys. I just want to bring back the educated into the world of YouTube fitness, give them something to watch rather than having a lot of these numbskull people in the comment section posting their trolling and just being able to monopolize all these channels which deserve just better quality audiences and content. So look, that's what I'm going to try and provide, but do let me know what you want to see in the comments. Please don't let it be a Natty or Not after all this. I can just imagine saying David Lade, please. Look, check back. I will be posting more content. There'll be more FAQs once I receive them. Obviously, I'm going to be on Reddit, scrolling there, trying to find the most commonly asked questions during this time, trying to do some more isolation FAQs about life in lockdown. Like, subscribe, click that bell button so you get notified every time that I post. A lot of you complaining you're only getting notification a few days later. Not sure why that is, but click that button. That should solve everything. And make sure to check out my other videos, which will be posted just there. Thanks everyone, welcome back to the isolation movement. See you in the next one.